Hey guys, this is Dr. Aeronautics. This is going to be a relatively quick video, but it should be an interesting short trip. So, I noticed the CSX RF&P subdivision route about a year ago, and it needed some DLC to get it installed. And I finally installed all the DLC and attempted to install the RF&P subdivision, which for those of you who don't know stands for Richmond, Fredericksburg, and Potomac, i.e. Northern Virginia. And I was running into an issue where I was getting an error that basically said time check for install, has no uninstalled synced items, and I was freaking out, thinking that this was never going to work. And then, sure enough, I just stopped going to my workshop tab and looked for it in my roots folder, and it turned out that it had installed itself, and I didn't really even know that it had. So just avoid the workshops tab for now is what I'm trying to do. Okay, so why is it night? Actually, it's not night. It's 1 in the afternoon. Why is it pitch black then? Because we're in the First Street Tunnel. If I go ahead and exit the vehicle and turn around, this is the lower platforms of Washington Union Station, and I have to say the developer's done a very nice job. For instance, anyone that's gone up here to the parking garage and taken a picture off the top will know that this is just about exactly the way the route looks. I have compared this to Google Earth to see how good the accuracy is, and it is so darn accurate that I cannot hold any complaints about the track layout. The only issues that I've really encountered are the only complaints I should say is that this building over here isn't round like the real building. And as I recall, on the Metro Rail Red Line, when you're going underground here, you can see the tracks as you're going in, which means this wall does not exist. So this is the upper level of Washington Union Station, and aside from the fact that the passengers are below ground, this is a work in progress, so I'm not going to complain about that one. What I will complain about, though, is that we've only got one of the tracks that has electricity, and it appears the rest of them do not. From what I understand it, all the way down to track 10, we've got electricity. So I believe this one right here would be the last track with electricity, and you can put trains here. Now, generally you'll have Western trains over here, Capital Limited and Mark Brunswick line, followed by the Mark Camden line, followed by the Mark Penn line diesel trains, the Mark Penn line electric trains, and then generally over here you would have the Northeast Regional, generally pulled by the ACS 64 City Sprinter. I always get that mixed up with the Charger for some reason. Probably because they're both built by Siemens. But anyway, this is where the Acela Express is run out of. And it looks... One of these tracks does not have electricity, so this might be right, not having electricity. And then down here you have the Southern trains. You'll have the Silver Star, you'll have the Silver Meteor. Auto Train can't come up this far because it cannot fit under this tunnel, the First Street Tunnel. It will not fit underneath. What else is here? The Carolinian, which I just drove last episode. This is where its electric power car gets switched out with a diesel engine. I've actually got the Silver Star loaded up right now. This is what we're going to be driving. And again, it's going to be a quick video. We're not going anywhere far. and Virginia Railway Express, VRE, will run out of these platforms here. So when I was young, I used to not understand how the tracks would get to Virginia. I used to think that the trains would go out north via the Penn Line and then circle back around near Landover Interlocking, come down the Alexandria extension, cross over the Long Bridge, and then end up in L'Enfant Plaza. However, that's not the way it looks. And I mean, you can probably tell why that is, because I would come up top here and look at everything, and then look down. I'm like, well, clearly, these tracks go under the building. So those tracks probably just go under the building and end. And back before 9/11, where you could actually walk the platforms, this is about as far over as I would typically go. Mind you, I was like 5. So the idea to try and make my way up here and then back down really didn't occur to me. You see, there's a separating wall. There's no way to get from the mezzanine here to the lower level mezzanine here. So I would just, strafe this platform and be like, well, it must end right there. I mean, it doesn't really go anywhere. And if you look, the difference in elevation between here and here is maybe 4 feet. So, not nearly enough to go underneath the building. But sure enough, for whatever reason, I still don't know how the elevations work out, because, you're clearly above ground here. You're above ground here. You go in completely level, and somehow you go underneath the basement of Union Station and end up underground. My only explanation is Capitol Hill goes up as the tracks go level. So let's talk a little bit about where the tracks go here. So this is A interlocking here, and you can go 4 different ways. I think I mentioned it. This is the WMATA Washington Metro Red Line. This is the New York Avenue station, which was, I think, installed in 2004. Further up is the Rhode Island Avenue station, way up that way. So, this looks a little bit... Nope, that's right. So, this is the New York Avenue yard for the Washington Metro Red Line. It really does go up on a flyover like that. I really like that. And then over here, this is where the Mark Brunswick line, as well as Amtrak lines west to Chicago, will split off. They'll go on these lines here, and the great thing about this route is you can go all the way up to Silver Spring on it before it terminates. So we'll check that out sometime. There's a lot of potential for this route. Having the portions of the lower corridor and vicinity in Train Simulator 2020 is really exciting to see. The second way you can go is into Amtrak's Ivy Facility Maintenance Yard. This is where the Acela Expresses are maintained. The third way that you can go is onto the Mark Camden line, which up at interlocking, which is just off. Actually, it's on screen. It's where those signals, those Darth Vader signal masts are. There's a line from the Metropolitan sub that swings over from this way. Right now, this is just the Mark Brunswick line here. But when it joins the Metropolitan sub, which is the track bed that you see at almost at the horizon there, it becomes a Metropolitan sub. So when the Metropolitan sub joins the CSX, the Metropolitan sub joins the Mark Camden line, it becomes the CSX Capital subdivision, and then makes its way towards Baltimore, as we saw in a prior episode. And the fourth way you can go is up these concrete ties. This is the Northeast Corridor, or at least the very beginnings of it. You can see the concrete ties as in real life, and once you get into the interlocking here in the Union Station terminal trackage. And as you can see, this is where the Northeast Corridor fans out to the platforms. And as seen in the prior episodes, this is the end, the southern end of the Northeast Corridor, or at least the electrified portion of it. to continue on to the southern end of the Northeast Corridor, we have to go through the First Street Tunnel. Now, be forewarned, currently, because this is under development, it only goes to Richmond. However, the plans for this route are to take it all the way down to Newport News with an extension to Norfolk, which is pretty darn amazing. Okay, so I would like to thank the route developer for this, who I believe is going under the name JR481. Okay, let's climb on board, start up, and we're going to go to Alexandria. I'm going to take things really slowly because we'll be within Washington, D.C., and this is going to be more of a tour. I'm not really going anywhere. I'm not trying to make any specific time. It's sort of a going where the road takes me and stopping at Alexandria kind of situation. I love working these controls manually. Hopefully it's not too annoying. And there we go. You can see where we're going. And we're moving. So if you'll notice, we still have catenary overhead lines, and I mentioned that they removed the ACS 64 power car from the train set at Washington Union Station. So that's specifically the reason we still have the overhead catenary. And very shortly, I believe it's 425 feet into the First Street Tunnel, that abruptly ends. And you must be diesel powered, such as we, to continue on. Alright, it's pitch black now. Going deep into the tunnel. And this is where the First Street Tunnel proper actually begins. Very nice job. And just like that, we're underneath Washington, D.C. Interesting how the tunnel, I guess it's called occlusion or something, but the darkness of the tunnel actually ends once you enter the tunnel proper, which is kind of interesting. You know, you'd think it'd be the other way around. So I have to say, nice job making it look pitch black, you know, as it would in real life in a tunnel mezzanine. But at the same time, I would like to see, if possible, this tunnel made dark as it is in real life. I mean, you have the lights and everything, but certainly doesn't make the cab look like daylight. Okay, here we go. We're coming down to the very end of the catenary right here. So just enough room for 2 power cars to switch. And right there, that was the southern end of the electrified Northeast Corridor. Now we're heading towards Richmond, the rest of Virginia, and eventually, if you go far enough, North Carolina, Florida. you can go 1,036 miles from where we are now before you reach the termination of tracks in Miami. That's as far as you can go southwards before you literally run into the Caribbean Sea. In the past, you used to be able to go all the way out to Key West, but thanks to the poor oversight by the powers that be, those tracks are now gone, leaving motorists to sit in traffic on US 1. Okay, so we're underneath the US Capitol building right now. Well, that's not exactly true. We're kind of under the Capitol Visitor Center that you go into, because we're technically under First Street. We're now curving towards the southwest. We're getting close to our tunnel portal. At that point, we'll be in southwest DC. Alright, so first impressions are pretty nice. That tunnel portal looks pretty realistic. This is Canal Street that we're going over right now. And Washington Avenue. Let's see if we can... The U.S. Capitol building, I think that asset, or that combination of assets, is supposed to be simulating the U.S. Capitol building. As you guys probably know, that's not what it looks like, but that's where it's going to be. This is Interstate 395 here. And that will go under a tunnel shortly. All right, we're now going into Federal Center. Southwest, and the tracks go up over a viaduct. Oh, okay, that's one glitch. Not too alarming. So I think in previous episodes we haven't gotten far south enough for me to actually announce where the underground Washington Metro is. Well, this is the L'Enfant Station, and underneath of us is the L'Enfant Plaza Station, which is the only place 5 Metro lines come together. Orange, silver, blue, green, and yellow. This is the first VRE station right here. Okay, we're about 2/3 of the way to the Washington Monument now. That's 9th Street we just passed over. We're now curving from the northwest to the southwest as we enter Waterfront. Couple of short tunnels here going under 10th Street and then again under Maryland Avenue. All right, now a lot of things are going to happen at the same time. Going out of Washington, D.C. shortly. I think that is supposed to be mimicking the Washington Monument. That aircraft you saw in real life, that's actually there. Reagan National Airport is where it's coming out of. We're passing over Main Avenue. Now this is 14th Street, which comes down from the monument carrying US 1. We're going over the Washington Channel now. The tidal basin is up there. We switch sides here. We should be able to see 395. Ohio Drive now below us. Very nice seeing the trees in the middle. That's what a lot of Washington, D.C. avenues look like. They're heavily lined with trees, very wide, very green. Uh-oh. I did not know that the alerting system was active. Very nice. This is Southwest Freeway right here. I like what I'm seeing. Very, very good. This is a metro line on Washington Metro that we've never seen yet. This is the yellow line coming out of the ground and crossing the Potomac River along with US 1, us, and if we look down this way, oh, wait a minute. 395 was the Southwest Freeway. So it's on this side. US 1 and the far bridge over there is 395. So Reagan National Airport is right about there. This is the tidal Potomac River. It separates Maryland from Virginia and DC from Virginia. Interestingly enough, it's apparently the nation's 22nd largest river by flow, 444 miles long, beginning at the triple point between, well, actually, no, it's just a point between Maryland and West Virginia at the Fairfax Stone. DC and Maryland own the Potomac River all the way to the low tide mark, and just now we have entered Virginia. GW Parkway, and if you'll notice, the yellow line, if we can see through the trees, will shortly be disappearing underground, if not already underground. So the most population density is up that way. It's kind of hard to see. It's not really rendering. Roslyn is up that way. Also up that way is going to be Arlington National Cemetery, and I don't think we'll be able to see it due to distance, but the Pentagon is up this way as well. We're entering Crystal City, which is the next sort of area. You know what? That might be the Pentagon there. Yes! There you go. So Crystal City used to have an underground shopping center. I don't know if it's still active or not. And these apartment buildings here are part of Crystal City. We're also getting to our next VRE station. Also Crystal City. That might be the skylight to Crystal City. This is the station here. Very nice job. Actually, that's a pool. It's just not very well simulated. That's hilarious. It's pulled by a pool. Alright, so keeping tabs of everything, we're now over the yellow and blue lines of the Washington Metro. They'll be coming above ground to stop at National Airport. And that, I believe, is the road to the airport. So let's see if we can find... Yeah, there it is. So that is Reagan National Airport. And these tracks here are the blue and yellow lines. This is 4 Mile Run, which we're going over now, and we're also getting pretty close to the Washington and Old Dominion route, which used to come down through this area a long time ago. It ran out to Bluemont, West Virginia, or Bluemont, Virginia. Not even Western Virginia. Still Northern Virginia. Okay, so we finally exited the urban area, and we're now in a suburban cull before we go back into the urban area of Alexandria. This neighborhood in here is Potomac Yard. Can't see it, but the Potomac River, actually you can see it. There it is. Potomac River is out this way. At this point, it gets wider and wider. Right now it's 1 mile wide. And the Potomac is actually one of the widest rivers I've ever seen. It gets up to 5 miles wide by the time it flows into the Chesapeake Bay. Of course, it's tidal, so that's the reason why. Okay, I want to say that this is the Braddock Road station. The Metro Rail station there. Yes, it is. We're making our way into Alexandria right now. The densely populated area. And the King Street station is up there. And I believe both stations are called King Street. I see that building. You can see that building from National Harbor. It's the George Washington Masonic National Memorial. Jeez, that's a mouthful. All right, guys, that's it. That's all I was hoping to accomplish. It was just a very short, here's the route. First impressions, considering that this work is still in development and not even all the tracks are laid, A+. I can't really find anything that's not fact-based. I have my opinions, but other than the opinions, I mean, this is as close to reality as you can get in Train Simulator 2020. Thank you so much for JR481, your route, because let me tell you what, this is one amazing route. I've been Dr. Aeronautics, and I will see you guys next time for more fun on this route. Bye-bye.